loves Jesus and Mary too. She's a good girl, crazy about the house, loves horses, and a girlfriend too.
Hello, everybody. Greetings from Mauritius. Myself, Emraj, and my colleague, Ian.
Hi, everyone. We are from the Rajiv Gandhi Science Center, and we are thrilled to be here today to celebrate science with you on the occasion of the National Science Week of South Africa.
So a very warm welcome to you all by the Rajiv Gandhi Science Center and by Mauritius. So before getting into the gist of the subject, I would like to invite you to submit your questions and answers in the Q&A section, which we will take at the end of this presentation. Now, let us present to you our beautiful island of Mauritius. So we are in the Indian Ocean. As you can see, we are a very small island in the Indian Ocean next to the big island of Madagascar, and also not very far from South Africa, around four hours of flight. And we are, yes, in the African continent. Some people may not be aware of that, but Mauritius, we are also part of the African continent. We have around 1.3 million population, but very unfortunately, we do not have natural resources. Very small island, only 1.3 million population, no natural resources, but then we have some very beautiful attractions, which we are going to present to you now.
A tropical island rising from the sea, Mauritius is a magical destination. But behind the beaches, there is more to discover. 50 years ago, sugarcane was our core industry. But we are a nation of dreamers. We knew the beauty of our island was only the beginning. We saw the opportunity to make miracles. High in the tropical canopy, a Mauritian tea plantation grows an island delicacy. Its taste as exquisite as the scenery. Among the tropical foliage, discover prehistoric colors of the island's volcanic past. These once fiery origins have blossomed into a unique array of flora and fauna in an environment unlike any other. Every day here encourages us to embrace each opportunity and inspires new resourcefulness. This is the Mauritian way. With inner peace comes renewal and replenishment, and more energetic pleasures. Find adventure in our national parks with a bird's-eye view of the forests, or change perspective again. Explore the wonder of a different life below the waves. The world's most famous melting pot. An array of influences brought together. There is always something to celebrate. Acceptance and harmony marries race, religion, and culture. The Mauritian way of life is your gift on arrival. 10 million years in the making, 50 years a nation. This is just the beginning.
So that's it. We sincerely hope that you've enjoyed this video, and maybe you would like to visit the island in the near future. Like I said, this webinar today is all about promoting science and technology by the Rajiv Gandhi Science Center, and especially amidst the COVID-19 pandemic in our island of Mauritius. But before getting into this webinar, I have the pleasure to invite Dr. Aman Kumar Molu, who is the director of the Rajiv Gandhi Science Center, for a welcoming address. Dr. Molu is leading the center since 2007 and has been very active in the field of science and technology, has contributed a lot in the field of science and technology for nearly 30 years now. So I have the pleasure to invite Dr. Molu for an opening address.
Hello, everybody. Welcome from Mauritius. Thank you, Himraj and Ian. Now, it's a great pleasure to join you in this National Science Week 2021. And at the outset, I will have to thank DSI, NRF, and SASTA, and which are long-term collaborators with Mauritius, and especially the Rajiv Gandhi Science Center. And before I pass on to my colleagues to give you more details about science activities, I would like to give you a glimpse of this unique institution that we have in Mauritius, the Rajiv Gandhi Science Center. Now, Rajiv Gandhi Science Center Trust Fund was enacted in Parliament in 1994. And then the main objective of the act was to promote science and technology among the population and supplement the core science education as well as advise government on science education. Now, and following that, in 1998, we signed an MOU, a Memorandum of Understanding with the Government of India, to build up the first science center outside India in Mauritius. And as a joint venture, both shared the responsibilities. Government of Mauritius invested in the infrastructure and the land, as well as the running of the center. And then Government of India provided all the expertise from the National Council of Science Museums in providing the architecture, the exhibits, as well as the training of staff. And following that, it was inaugurated in 2004. And since then, I think we have targeted more than 600,000 people, that is about half the population of Mauritius. Now, the Rajiv Gandhi Science Center is a unique center in Mauritius, and it has been it's operating under the Ministry of Education, Tertiary Education, Science and Technology, and has as mandate, as mentioned earlier, to popularize science among all segments of the population with all means and modes. Now, we are located outside the capital city of Port Louis, known as Belle Village, and we are a quite big land area, 5 acres of land, 4,000 square meters, occupied around 2/3 with exhibition galleries. So we have about 200 exhibits on science and technology. And besides this, we do a lot of number of activities, as will be described by my colleagues later on. Now, being unique, as I said, we have a vision and a mission. Our vision is to be the center of excellence in the communication, in the promotion and communication of science. And as a mission, we serve as a center for non-formal education and, of course, promotion of science. Now, since we have been evolving in this area for about 17 years, since 2004, now we have improved to adapt to the situation and to evolve with the pace of science and technology in the world. To this end, what the center and my team at the center, which constitute around 40 people, and including 5 scientists, we have developed our strategic plan, which was approved at the board under the chairmanship of Dr. Jayanti Noga, who is also a very fluent biologist, a fellow of the Royal Society of Biology, and who provides the continuous support in our endeavors. Now, this strategic plan is based on 6 main pillars, as we have worked it out, to be at international norm and also to lead Mauritius to be the hub in science and technology for the future. Now, the 6 pillars have been the center itself, looking at the premises, the facilities, etc. And next, of course, as a science center being unique in Mauritius, we welcome visitors. So the next pillar focuses on visitors management. The third pillar, as we say, we operate under the Ministry of Education. The third pillar focuses on supplementing the core science education. Of course, the fourth pillar is about outreach, targeting all the communities, all the segments of the population, including senior citizens and housewives and women also. So gender is a very important aspect of our center, also in our strategies. And of course, the fifth pillar is the promotion of science. And this is where my colleagues will be elaborating and giving more details later on. And the sixth pillar, as all science centers and science institutions, we do research and development. Now, this said, of course, we do have a bright future ahead. We are having a large number of projects in our pipeline. For example, presently we're working on a joint collaboration with the government of India, what we call the second phase of the Rajiv Gandhi Science Center. 4 is the satellite center of the center to include a planetarium in what we call the education hub of Mauritius. And with this idea, we're going to have new exhibition galleries on space, science, and astronomy, as well as the unique planetarium in the region. And this will again boost the interest for science and technology among our youngsters in Mauritius. Now, other projects, of course, include, for example, as I mentioned at the beginning, the Act dates to 1994. So after a quarter of a century, it's worth reviewing our Act to empower the center to have a very more impactful journey or as an advisor in science and technology for government institutions as well as regionally and internationally. Now, since we are talking about regional and international, one very important aspect that the center depends on to create and generate activities is called as collaborations. Of course, we have local and international collaborations. Local collaborations involve all like-minded institutions, ministries, parastatal bodies, as well as private sectors, and which support us tremendously in all our endeavors. Now, at the international level, of course, we do have a large number of partners, starting with Government of India, as I said, the National Council of Science Museums. We have partners in Australia, the Questacon and Australian National University. Partners in South Africa, like yourself, thanks to SASTA, SASTEC, the Science and Technology Desk of SADC, and other institutions like Cape Town Science Center. And of course, a number of various institutions worldwide, including, not to forget that we're also a member of the ASTC. Now, I won't be dwell long on this subject. I will leave the floor to my colleagues to elaborate on other areas that we have. That's the topic of the day. Thank you very much, and thank you for your support.
Thank you, Dr. Molu, and for your speech. Like Dr. Molu has said, we have had many working relationships with several of international stakeholders, partners. I'm trying to share this slide back. Yes. So like, so just like what Director just mentioned, these are so many institutions, like-minded institutions that we have had working relationships, right? Already mentioned Australian National University, the Government of India, SASTA is already there. So this is where we also open our doors for future collaborations in the near future in the field of science promotion, in the field of science popularization. This is where we always open our doors for further collaborations, for further collaborative projects. So thank you once again, Dr. Molu. Before in this presentation, we are going to firstly describe a bit the activities of the Rajiv Gandhi Science Center, our traditional conventional activities. Myself will get into the impact of COVID-19 pandemic on the activities of the center. And then just after that, my colleague Ian will describe a bit the various measures that we've been taking to continue to promote science and technology in our island. So before getting further, I would like to invite you to view a small clip on the Rajiv Gandhi Science Center. So, like I said, I hope this video has given you an idea of the activities of the center. We've been doing lots of workshops. We've been doing popular lectures. We've been doing activities at schools, in community, special programs like astronomy. For example, our activities have been conceived to cater for all layers of our population, starting with, let's say, the pre-primary level. We have our regular annual Kiddie Science Fair that we organize, whereby our young minds get the opportunity to interact with science right at the tender age. The event takes the format of a science exhibition made for and by educators and pupils of the pre-primary schools, with the objective of igniting the spark of creativity in the minds of our younger children. At the primary level, one of our main activities is called the Science Day, where we organize in our schools and conduct science shows, quiz, talks, and even set up exhibitions for our students. At the level of secondary schools, our students, and we organize workshops for our students and educators. We organize camps, science-based competitions, mobile exhibitions, and many others. Not to forget, for the public, in Mauritius, we reach out to the community by conducting special events like the popular night sky observation, during which we initiate the public to astronomy. And also, we do have our own National Science Week Mauritius that we organize every year with the support of the Ministry of Education, Tertiary Education, Human Resources, and Scientific Research. We also have activities, special activities like what we call Inspiring Scientist Program, which we do in collaboration with the US Embassy. We have special activities also for senior citizens. We have worked with the British Council for the Fame Lab competition. So like I said, there are a wide range of activities that we normally do to continue to promote science and technology in Mauritius, continue to engage the population in the field of science and technology. At the international level, Rajiv Gandhi Science Center is also the country-level coordinator of the Africa Code Week, which is a mass digital literacy program being organized every year in Africa, right? Myself, I'm the ambassador for Africa Code Week in Mauritius, and in 2017, in 2018, we organized mass digital literacy, where the whole population, the students, the public, were initiated to coding. And as part of this Africa Code Week initiative, we also have the African Code Challenge, which is a coding competition where our youngsters of age 8 to 16 are given the opportunity to develop codes, to develop programs, and the free best is being submitted to Africa Code Week for an African-wide competition. So this is also, I'm coordinating this African Code Challenge. And on the 16th of August, we are going to declare the winners for Mauritius, and we're also going to submit our 3 best projects to Africa Code. We have also the Young Persons Plan for the Planet program, which is a program which is an activity based on the sustainable development, which is being organized in not only in Mauritius, but it originated in Australia at the Australian National University, has been also been organized in other countries like Singapore. So in Australia, in Singapore, in Mauritius, the Young Persons Plan for the Planet program, we are also part of this worldwide initiative, I must say. So this was a glimpse of the Rajiv Gandhi Science Center, the activities at the local level, at the community level, at the international level also. But then we all know that in 2020, Mauritius was also hit by the COVID-19 pandemic. And unfortunately, we had 2, since March 2020 until now, we have already had 2 lockdowns, 2, I must say, waves of COVID-19 pandemic has already hit the island. The main impact was especially at the school level, at the school calendar level. Normally, our school calendar is from January to December, but then with the impact of the COVID-19, the schools were forced to be closed. I think that is a situation worldwide. We all know about that. Our school calendar was quite disturbed, and this was quite a major difficulty in the education system. But not to forget, we are an island where tourism is one of the main pillars of our economy. With our frontiers being closed, no tourism in the island, this has a very severe impact, not only on the tourism sector, but also on the economy as a whole. So we all know that, we are all aware of the adverse effects of the COVID-19 pandemic. But then at the level of the Rajiv Gandhi Science, we normally design and develop our activities. A very simple process of science communication is that we design and develop our activities, which are normally in the forms of exhibitions and activities. And these exhibitions and activities are being presented to the public, where we engage the public in our exhibitions, in our activities. And one of the very important aspects of our activities is the number of people we happen to target, which we call it here as a reach. The reach is a metric which gives us an indication of the number of people we happen to target through our activities. With the COVID-19 pandemic hitting the island and also hitting Rajiv Gandhi Science Center, the interaction between the activities of the center and the public is obviously broken. So there is no interaction between us and the public. And the consequence is very obvious. Before the COVID, we had visitors in our galleries. We had our own in-house activities that we were organizing at the center. We had our outreach programs where we go to schools, we go to community. This was giving us a considerable amount of reach, and we were quite productive in the promotion of science. But then, when the COVID-19 came, we were forced to close our galleries. We could not entertain any requests for any in-house activities. We could not go to the community. We could not go to schools. Consequence is that there was a drop, a loss in our target reach, obviously. Right, as you can see from these 2 photos, right, there are no activities. Activities cannot take place at the Rajiv Gandhi Science Center, especially during the COVID-19 pandemic. And I think the situation is worldwide. It's at nearly all science centers level. It's at the level of all science centers in the world, or at the level of museums also. This situation was general. Yes, this is a graph of the cumulative reach that we registered in 2018. And in 2019 was more or less the same tendency. This is the graph of 2020 that was expected based on 2018 and 2019. But then with the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic, obviously we could not follow the same trend, right? It was very difficult to follow the same trend. So there needs to, we had to reflect on this situation very urgently, right? A stoppage in our activities. I mean, given that all the activities are physically dependent, there was a need for us to think otherwise. There was a need for us to think new methods and new practices, or go towards innovative approaches where we could continue to maintain our business of promoting science and technology. We had to think alternative methods of promoting science, of engaging the public in science and technology. And like the director said, the Rajiv Gandhi Science Center, we already had what we call the e-promotion of science as one of the main pillars of our strategic plan. But unfortunately, at the moment, this was not considered to the best. I mean, we had not really considered, invested too much of our efforts in the e-promotion of science. But then when the COVID-19 pandemic came, it was necessary for us to invest more of our energy, more of our resources, and go towards the e-promotion of science. So as from now, I will leave the floor to my colleague Ian, who will continue with the rest of the presentation.
Thank you very much. But before carrying on, I would like to remind you that if you have any question you want to ask us, just type it on the question and answers box, and we will revert to you at the end of the presentation. So, thank you. To set up e-promotion of science at the Rajiv Gandhi Science Center, we made an implementation plan of our digital engagement in science, was conceived as shown on the slide. One of the key aspects of this plan, which I would just like to mention here, is the development of a framework for conducting online activities, along with the process flow. And during this COVID-19 pandemic situation, we conceived and developed numerous online activities, and now I have the pleasure of presenting you a portfolio of the digital activities created. As you can see, we developed numerous different online activities, and these different activities cater for a wide range of audience. Here, you can see a table summing up these activities as of January 2021. One of these activities is what we call astronomy awareness, which was created to ignite people's interest in astronomy, like facts on, for example, the equinox, or the planet Mars, or comet Neowise, and other items. We also tackle the challenge we face during this pandemic and seize this opportunity to go digital by disseminating through social media milestones in science and technology. Another activity that was offered to the population of Mauritius was branded Science Recipe. These recipes are hands-on, fun activities to engage people in science. As shown on this slide is one example of such activity, which we call Hide Your Message, which gives you an instruction on how to perform this experiment while also providing the scientific explanation behind of what you would observe. These recipes will be regularly posted on our social media and covers a wide variety of fields. We also organized and conducted several webinars by local and international experts on contemporary topics, be it marine science, ecology, or the effects of using virtual platforms on the learning of sciences, among others. Animated clips were also developed, in which we explained the scientific concepts. Let me show you one of the skits. I hope you enjoy this clip. Another content that we created is Science Unveiled, which is a concise presentation on contemporary science topics. For example, the International Year of Plant Health 2020. I'm just going to show you a small glimpse. If you want to learn more about plant health, you can just follow us on social media and follow our page, and you will see all the complete posts of all what I'm showing you today. So another thing is that we also produce science demonstration videos in the hope of igniting interest in STEM subjects. I will just show you a snippet of it. So at this stage of the project, it was necessary for us to transform our website into a one-stop shop platform to accommodate all of these digital contents and activities. Just give me a second, I will show you our new interactive website. As you can see here, this is our new website. And if you want to see what all the activities I previously discussed are here in the section Engaged, but it is also the place where you can access other activities, for example, those targeted for schools, Like, for example, we have our own National Science Week here and other competitions like the glider competition, the Science Quest, and as my colleague previously mentioned, the Kili Science Fair. And if ever you wanted to participate to one of our contests, for example, a photo contest based on the International Year of Plant Health 2020, you can just access it directly on our site by clicking here on our webpage and accessing directly the contest. And if ever you want to test yourself in terms of knowledge, you can just try one of our quiz, one of the many that we have, for example, on astronomy. Okay. So, at the end of the e-promotion of science, what happened is that on this graph, you can see the cumulative reach for 2020, 2029, and 2020 in yellow. We were honestly quite pleasantly surprised by the response we got from the population of Mauritius in terms of reach. During this COVID situation, the reach of the center increased and was close to 3 times that of 2019. So e-promotion of science, it directly contributed to achieve the goals of the center, but it also allowed the public the flexibility to access all of our contents anywhere they want and at any time. So now I would like to leave the floor to my colleague, Mr. Mrach, for the end of the presentation. Over to you, Mr. Mrach.
Thank you, Ian. Friends, e-promotion of science at the level of Rajiv Gandhi Science Center is more of a problematic situation that has been turned into a new way of doing business. We had to, at the end of the day, we had to maintain the promotion of science and technology in Mauritius. We had to continue to deliver scientific information to the public. We had to continue to engage our audience in science. But then, after this project, which happened also to be, after this project, is the next step. What is the next step as from this? This e-promotion of science has given us the idea to create a digital research team. Why a digital research team? Which is just being on our way to creating the digital research team, is we want to study what impact these virtual platforms, these digital means of promoting science, what impact it can bring on the public understanding of science, on interest, on motivation in science. And maybe we can also go and see if there can be any kind of comparison between our traditional way of promoting science, our competitions, our activities that we have been doing all these times before the COVID-19 pandemic. And now, when we are leveraging on digital technologies, on digital platforms, is there any kind of difference that is between these two modes of promoting science? So far, we've been presenting to you the various digital activities that we've been doing. Activities has been conceived, for example, the astronomy awareness. This is because we have our program, night sky observation program, but we had to find an alternative for that. We have developed other activities to continue to engage the population in, for example, the science recipe, presenting the population with details of doing experiments at home. We have been doing the Science Explained, Science Unveiled, where we have been demystifying scientific concepts. You've seen the graphics on vaccination and all this. But then we also want to develop new applications, new games that will continue to bring people towards science. So this is a bit the next step, the next level where we want to bring our project of e-promotion of science. And when we look at it at a more global level, e-promotion of science, when we were developing, it is one of those projects that can be said to be having an impact on the SDG goals. Actually, we are promoting education. So yes, of course, it has a significant impact on SDG 4, which is about providing quality education and lifelong learning opportunities, and on other SDGs, as you can see on this slide. So before ending this presentation, I have the pleasure to present to you an advert that was developed by the Rajiv Gandhi Science Center to promote the digital activities of the center. So thank you very much, dear audience. It's been a pleasure to be here in your midst and to share a bit of our experience. I see this opportunity to thank the Rajiv Gandhi Science Center Trust Fund Board and also our director for giving us this opportunity to do this webinar with you. And also I would like to thank my colleagues, my friends, all the staff from the Rajiv Gandhi Science Center who have been working on the e-promotion of science project. I would like to thank you attendees, all those people who are here with us in this webinar, the coordinators of this webinar also. And above all, not to forget, we would like to thank the staff and all organizers and partners of the National Science Week of South Africa 2021. So yes, we now log on to the Q&A question. I'm trying to see if we can help. I can see there is one question which is about disadvantaged communities. Any strategy to deal with disadvantaged communities that might not have access to the internet or the necessary devices for access? At the moment, I have to be frank with you, we have not catered, we have not thought about any special strategy to look into all those who might not have been getting any access to that. But then at the level of schools in Mauritius, we already have a tablet PC project of the government of Mauritius, where I must say nearly all students, once they enter the primary school, they are being given a tablet by the government. So yes, of course, that we can continue to work in this direction. We can work with our ministry, our parent Ministry of Education, so that those students who might not be having internet connection in their house, at the home, or who might not be having any PC or laptop or any IT equipment for this. Yes, at the level of schools, we can have especially at schools, we all, at the moment, yes, especially at the level of schools, we have what we call the activity period. And in activity period, we can organize various kinds of activities for the students, especially in these digital activities where we can make them use their tablets to be able to participate in our activities.
We have another question.
I think that could be one of the strategies that we can employ, that we can use to address this part. I'm trying to look at a second question that was in the chat. At this moment, well, internet connectivity in schools is quite correct here. I mean, all schools have been provided with internet connection in Mauritius. But then at this moment, we have not yet investigated on the demographics of our of the people who have been participating, who have been engaging themselves in our activities. So this is also one part of the digital research, the program of the digital research team, is to see the various demographics of the various demographics, to see the different levels of our participants, different types, people from different sectors who are participating in our activities. Yes.
And I have another question.
I'm trying to see if there is any other question. How did you transition from the traditional teaching and learning to blended classroom and online? Were your teachers and users capacitated? Yes, of course. In Mauritius, we have the Mauritius Institute of Education, which is responsible for teacher training. So whenever there is any kind of, especially technology-driven teaching and learning, all teachers in Mauritius, especially at the primary level, are being given training by the Mauritius Institute of Education. So, for example, like I said, the tablet PC program, these our ICT support officers at the Ministry of Education were being posted at all schools to support all these teachers with train-the-trainer programs on how they could eventually implement their teaching, especially their teaching technology based on technology and all that. Yes, I think in Mauritius, I must say we don't have many issues of internet connectivity. I mean, all schools have been provided with good internet connection. We don't have this issue here. I have another question is, are all your animated materials designed and created? Yes, all the materials that you've been seeing today here have been developed 100% by the Rajiv Gandhi Science Center. It is a teamwork. We have the education department of the Rajiv Gandhi Science Center, which has been working on the content material. We have also the graphics and exhibition department, which has been looking after the multimedia and the graphics and the animation. And you have myself, my department, Electrical Electronics and IT, which has been responsible for making all these things happen at the level of our social media, on our website, and all this. So it's a teamwork at the Rajiv Gandhi Science Center. So I think that's all for us today. In case you would like to have more details about our activities, and thank you very much for all those who are sending some nice notes about our e-promotion programs. I can see one saying it was very aesthetic and very well designed. Thank you very much, Juma. And so here you can have our contact details. You can contact us in case you wish to collaborate in the near future, or in case you wish to have more details, we can work together in any future projects. Hopefully in the near future, we are also going to have the National Science Week at the Mauritian level in Mauritius. So why not? We can always collaborate in our future endeavors. So thank you very much. For now, say goodbye from myself, Ian, the Director of Rajiv Gandhi Science Center, and a very goodbye, Mauritius. Thank you very much.